Hello, kindergarten, and welcome back to another fun week of entomology. I hope you had fun last week. I know I did, getting all those fun letters from Eddie and learning about all those cool insects out there. So today I just want to quickly review or go over what we learned last week. How do we know an insect is an insect? So here it says, all insects have 3 parts to their body. And we learned a song last week that helped us remember those 3 parts. Head, thorax, abdomen. So these parts you can easily see on the ant. And then insects also have 6 legs. Some people think a spider is an insect, but remember, bugs and spiders are not the same thing. There are 3 types of bugs. Insects are one, spiders or arachnids are another, and myriapods are that last group of bugs. So insects have 6 legs, spiders have 8. Most insects also have a pair of antennae. Exoskeleton. An exoskeleton is the hard outer shell of an insect's body. It's like a suit of armor, and it protects the insect's soft body underneath. And then we also learned about those compound eyes. Most insects have compound eyes. Each eye is made up of thousands of tiny lenses, and they allow insects to detect movement around them better than humans. And those were pretty cool when we saw them on that dragonfly we learned about. So those are how we know, those are the traits, how we know an insect is an insect. And up at the top it says, in addition to going through metamorphosis. And we learned that word last week, and we didn't really talk a whole lot about it, but that's what we're going to learn about this week. Metamorphosis, because all insects go through metamorphosis, which is a change that helps them grow into the adult. So that's what we're going to spend time learning about this week. So I found this really cool page in one of my books because it talked about how there's 2 types of metamorphosis. There's a complete metamorphosis, which is what we're going to spend time learning about this week. And it says, complete metamorphosis is when an insect undergoes 4 stages in its life cycle. And here it gives a great picture. It starts out as an egg, and then out of the egg comes what we call the larva. And the larva doesn't look anything like what the insect's going to look like as it turns into the adult, because this is a ladybug. And that doesn't look like anything a ladybug looks like. So it has to go through a metamorphosis or a change to become the adult ladybug. So it also spins what we call a pupa. And then when it comes out of the pupa, then it becomes the adult ladybug. So during the pupa stage, it says here the insect completely transforms from a worm-like larva into the adult. And it says common insects that go through complete metamorphosis are ants, butterflies, bees, and ladybugs. So that's pretty cool. So when an ant comes out of its egg, it doesn't look like an adult ant. And we already knew the butterfly didn't, because we know a butterfly, when it comes out of the egg, is a caterpillar. But a ladybug doesn't look like an adult ladybug, and neither does a bee. So that's really interesting. But then there's some other insects who go through what's called an incomplete metamorphosis. And that's when they only have 3 stages in their life cycle. They start as an egg, but then when they come out of the egg, they're called what is known as a nymph. And a nymph is just the baby adult. And it does look like the adult, because here's a grasshopper. He does look like the adult, just smaller. So during the nymph stage, the insect's exoskeleton has to grow. So it does what it's called molting. It says the insect molts its exoskeleton several times as it gets bigger. After its final molt, it becomes the adult. All right, so molting means they kind of shed their skin, kind of like a snake when we learned about snakes. So they shed their exoskeleton because they need a bigger skin because they're getting bigger. So that's what the insects do in an incomplete metamorphosis. So there's two types of metamorphosis, and we're going to learn about them this week. And I also found this T-chart in my book, and I thought I'd share it with you because we made a T-chart on our own. And so I thought I would share this because it took the insect's life stages and made it into a T-chart. And some go through 3 stages. Some go through 4 stages to become an adult. All right, and it shows here the life cycle. So this is the cricket. Starts as the egg, turns into the nymph, and then turns into the adult. And it says crickets, grasshoppers, cockroaches all go through the incomplete metamorphosis, all right, where the baby looks like the adult. And then here's that ladybug. Starts as an egg, turns into the larva. Baby does not look like the adult. Has to grow a pupa. Lots of changes happen during this stage. And then when they come out of the pupa, they're the adult. And ladybugs, ants, butterflies, and we also learn bees have the complete metamorphosis. So pretty cool that they can go through these changes to turn into a completely different animal. So that's what we're going to learn about this week. So I found a big book because butterflies are one of those amazing animals that go through metamorphosis. So the book I found today is the Big Book of Butterflies. And butterflies are an insect, and they go through a complete metamorphosis. So let's learn about butterflies. What do you think? Is it going to be fiction or nonfiction? Yeah, I'm thinking nonfiction. So while we're reading, make sure you're paying attention to these nonfiction text features because I bet you we'll see some of them. I hope you're paying attention to them when you're reading at home. The Big Book of Butterflies, written by Sarah Murphy, designed by Camilla Quintana. This is a butterfly. These are butterflies too. Wow, look at all those. Scientists estimate there are approximately 15,000 species of butterflies. That's an amazing fact. Butterflies can be big. And here it says, oh, look it, there's a speech bubble. I am the biggest butterfly in the world, the Queen Alexandra's birdwing. Never heard of it, but that's the biggest butterfly in the world. Butterflies can be little. Put your hand on the page to see how big we are. These pictures are true to life size. Look at, he says, I am the smallest butterfly in the world, the pygmy blue. So if you put your hand up, look at how small he is compared to my hand. Even these ones are pretty small. There's that Monarch one, we see that. Well, it's probably about the same size as my hand, isn't it? Pretty close. So they can be different sizes. All butterflies have 3 body parts. And we already learned that, didn't we? Here they are. They labeled them here. Head, thorax, abdomen. All butterflies have 6 legs. And look, they counted them for you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They have 4 big wings. The wings are made of colorful scales. Look at, they took a magnifying glass and showed you so that you can see that they really are made of scales, kind of like the fish that we learned about. That's pretty cool. Colors like red, orange, and yellow warn animals that the butterfly tastes yucky. So all those bright colors that you see on the butterfly actually warn the predators that might want to eat it that we don't taste very good. Some butterflies look like their homes. My goodness, look at that butterfly. He's doing a really good job of camouflaging. He looks just like that leaf, doesn't he? And then look over here. Do you see any butterflies? It says, this animal wants to eat the butterflies, but he can't see them. And he's got a speech bubble, and it says, where did they go? There's 3 butterflies in this picture. Can you spot them? Yeah, they're doing an awesome job. Here's one, because I can kind of see his legs, but he looks just like a leaf. Here's another one. I see the antennas peeking out there. And then this one, here's the antennas and the legs here. But my goodness, they did a really good job of camouflaging. That's pretty cool. Some butterflies have long tongues. A butterfly's tongue is called a proboscis. That's an interesting vocabulary word we're going to talk about. And here it labels the proboscis. So look, that's a great picture of the long tongue. I wonder what they use that for. What do you think? Yeah, probably to get that nectar and pollen out of those flowers. That's what I'm thinking. A butterfly can drink nectar from flowers with its proboscis. So we were right. And there he is, using his proboscis to get the nectar, kind of like you use a straw when you drink. Butterflies need flowers, but there are no flowers in the winter. So what do butterflies do? I wonder, what do you think? Some butterflies hibernate. Wow, look at, they're huddled together to keep warm. Look at all of them. And then it says some butterflies migrate. That means they travel long distances to where it is still warm in the winter. So you can see here is where we live up here. So they're going to migrate all the way across the United States, way down here to this country below us, which is Mexico. So they, look at, can you imagine being a tiny butterfly and traveling all that way to migrate? Wow. It is such a long trip that these butterflies won't come back, but their babies will. So here it shows you it takes 3 months for a butterfly to fly the 3,000 miles between Mexico and the United States. Most monarchs only live for 4 to 6 weeks. So only certain butterflies called the super generation live long enough to do the whole trip to Mexico. So that's pretty cool. They might stop along the way and go through their metamorphosis and have a baby, and generations of the butterfly finally end up making it to Mexico. How do butterflies have babies? Well, the female butterfly lays eggs on a leaf. So there's a really cool picture of what the eggs look like. And remember, like most animals, they don't just lay one, they lay lots. And then caterpillars come out of the eggs. So there's the caterpillars. It says, we came out of the eggs. And they don't look anything like the adult, do they? The caterpillars eat the leaves. Munch, munch, munch. It says, here is a life-size monarch caterpillars. So here's what it looks like when it comes out of the egg. And it has lots of growing to do. And they eat lots of leaves to help them grow to get that big. And then they eat lots of leaves to get so big, and here they are eating all those leaves. So if you see some leaves that have rough edges like this or some holes in it, you know a caterpillar or an insect has been on that plant eating those leaves. Then when they're big enough, each caterpillar makes a chrysalis. So he just attaches himself to a branch and then spins the chrysalis. And when each caterpillar comes out of its chrysalis, it is a butterfly. So that's a pretty cool picture of the actual whole metamorphosis, the whole change. And then here it shows the life cycle of a butterfly. So it starts down here as the egg. Out comes the caterpillar. He's got lots of growing to do, lots of leaves to eat. And eventually he's big enough to spin that cocoon or chrysalis. And then there's lots of changing that happens in there because now he's a completely different animal, a beautiful butterfly. So we learned lots of facts from this book, didn't we? So let's get a graphic organizer out. I made a web, and my web has the word butterflies right in it because that's what we read about today. And let's think of some facts that we learned from this book. So butterflies are insects. Okay, they belong to the insect group because they have 3 body parts, a head, a thorax, and an abdomen, 6 legs. They have wings, 4 wings, that are very colorful and taste yucky. They are very good at camouflaging. They have a long tongue, which helps them to drink nectar, called the proboscis. And they hibernate or migrate in the winter when there's no flowers. And then their whole life cycle, they go through a complete metamorphosis and change from a caterpillar that comes out of the egg into a completely different animal, the beautiful butterfly. So today I encourage you, if you can print this page, if you go and download this page, you can label the butterfly. And if you can't print it, if you don't have a printer, that's okay. See if you can draw a butterfly. Might be pretty easy. You can draw the head, the thorax, and the abdomen. Give it some beautiful wings, give it some antennas, and then label all of the body parts. Make sure you give it, if you're drawing it, make sure you give it all the body parts. And if you can print this out, you can either cut these out and glue them in the boxes to label, or you can write them yourself with a pencil. So I encourage you to do this today and label the parts of the butterfly that help us to know that it belongs in the insect group. And I've been in touch with my friend Eddie, and he told me he mailed me a letter, so I'm expecting it in the mail anytime soon here. So I bet you tomorrow there might be a letter from Eddie that might teach us another insect that we can put in our bug jar. So be looking for that. And I'll be back on Wednesday with another book that will teach us even more about the amazing metamorphosis that insects go through. Have a fun week, boys and girls.